Alright, so you guys probably already saw some stuff here and there. We've got the official Max Orangemushroom translated patch notes going on from Korea, the newest test server. So they got Angelic Buster Remaster Part 2, as they announced there would be a second part before they were actually putting the stuff into the game. Blah blah blah. A few skill changes and the updated story. Director Chungsub also went live with another Maple Now talk about the remaster, new events, and some future plans for the game. Okay. This is probably like a 2-hour video. Yep. Half an hour before they start, and then a 2-hour video. He usually breaks it down here, though, so let's look at that breakdown by our favorite Orangemushroom creator. So the planner in charge of Angelic Buster Remaster was also the one who created Kalos and Kaling. They actually playtested Kalos all day and thought that working on turning off the machines while fighting the boss was quite easy, so they released the boss as is. Quite easy. Then they realized it was actually quite difficult for a lot of players, so they slowly worked on decreasing the difficulty. Yeah. They increased the... they made the aiming easier, right? They made the hitboxes a lot bigger. Like previous remasters for Angelic Buster, their goal was to keep the existing combat experience while removing unnecessary systems, like the recharging stuff. Main example would be the recharge system, sorry, I need to keep reading first, which resulted in a poor growth experience and has been removed. I agree, that was very annoying early on, and I think most people agree with that. They also added MP to Angelic Buster and updated the story to match. Good luck getting your MP Oz rings now. Angelic Buster had skills that needed to be stacked up, like Mascot Familiar and Energy Burst, which made it hard to manage, and the timing and bosses teleporting and sometimes missing your entire attack. They also give them less flexibility in combat due to the multiple skills that had to be prepared ahead of time. In addition, skills like Spotlight had force positioning, which made it harder, and even though these skills had all these conditions, their deal share wasn't very high, so like the percentage of the total damage that they would do. So there was a lack of feedback, which they hoped to improve. Angelic Buster's combat was monotonous since it had many skills with the same 30-second duration and 1 20-second cooldown. In order to add some variety, they tried to add a way to maximize damage with off-burst skills such as Mascot Familiar and Soul Exalt, so more DPM, like we talked about. Since they proved so much of the previous inconveniences, Angelic Buster's combat became even more dull. He thought that they would try to make their combat more fun by giving 60-second cooldown skills. They are aware that this is a new 60-second deal cycle for players, but are open to changing it in the future as they track the data. Okay. A B-Link is the same effect, but it's a 60-second cooldown instead of a 90-second cooldown. Angelic Buster's stat boosts were distributed to lower job advancements to improve the growth experience. They also reorganized some skill concepts which previously were a bit disjointed, such as Supernova and the drill visuals. They improved on Angelic Buster's concept as a magical girl using the power of Escada through the soul shooter. That was their Angelic Buster remarks. And event remarks. Special event will be held for the Angelic Buster remaster for 2 tracks, one for existing characters and one for new Angelic Busters. Like previous remasters, it will contain a lot of growth related to rewards. In particular, they have doubled the symbol and core gemstone rewards compared to previous events. So that's symbols and note stones. Double that, okay. There's even a chance to win real-life prizes like acrylic stands, keycaps, and NFC album photo cards. I thought it said NFT there for a second. They want to continue to integrate in-game content with promotional products. I mean, that's cool, as long as it's available to everyone, right? All of the GMS giveaways are always to, like, to North America, except for certain regions, which is unfortunate because of laws in different places around the world. The Maple World Tour event is a 3-week event that provides growth rewards. It gives pink bubble boosters like the Maple World Tour event, but we already have Maple Tour. Hopefully that's not going to be too confusing. Pink bubble boosters like the Haste Booster Choo Choo Booster to avoid the severe price drop in the last week of the event and to prevent hoarding reselling. They can be used for 1 week after the event ends, and they will become account bound after they have been traded once. Yet Pink Bean World will return after a long time. Ooh, yeah, we haven't seen that in a bit. They skipped a year, I think, right? Or usually they do it around anniversary. Wait, did they not do it around the anniversary? I guess they must have postponed it for now. It's an event that gives an important stat item. They wanted to make it easier and less annoying for players. In short, all the useless stuff was removed. They increased the bonus experience to 900% and gave an event EXP skill as well. Through the testing, the time to complete one character has been decreased from an average of 12 hours to about 3 hours. that's a lot less time. Okay, so you'll be able to just blow through Yeti and Pink Bean World, and to get your 2 level 200s in no time then, I guess. So if you keep on schedule, that should be good news for the people who are playing on Hyperion, started new mains, that you hopefully should be able to look forward to your best in slot title, the Yeti and Pink Bean title, hopefully within the next 6 months. That'd be cool if you could do that. Market economy. So this is more non-reboot stuff, but we'll look at this in for a bit. So we'll be increasing the number of monsters required to enter Ursus from 300 to 1,000, as it was still not enough of a deterrent for bots and multi-accounters. Yeah, that's really annoying. But, you know, since the dailies are a lot easier to do now, because you can just kill whatever monster in the map and it'll count for your dailies, I think, you know, basically instead of doing almost like, instead of doing a third of some dailies, you just do 2 dailies. You'll have to just take that into account, and you have to set up properly for that. But I don't think it's the end of the world. But of course, it's annoying. It's super annoying, especially when we run with the gang. There's always 1 or 2 people who forgot, and then it's like, okay, go kill now. Instead of go kill 300 monsters real quick, now it's go kill 1,000 monsters real quick. Or people who haven't played in a long time, they don't know that the max is there. So remember, you can always open up your bossing menu and then check Ursus here, and it'll say how many monsters for the day you've already killed. Before you're trying to do Ursus, always check this number real quick. Or just set as a habit, as soon as you start playing, do dailies on 1 character, and that way you will always have at least 1,000 monsters killed, and you'll be good to go. They've been changing it so that you cannot harvest gold herbs or heart ores, etc., unless you have defeated 1,000 monsters as well. I think for GMS that doesn't really matter that much. I mean, early on, some players probably are trying to get their harvests in still, but most people don't really do harvesting. We just do Mushroom Shrine, Threads of Fate, and then we use that for all of our materials and all of our incomes most of the time. So this won't really hurt us that much, but again, this is also really annoying. If you have a botting problem, I feel like you should just have better detection rather than implementing things that are just going to disproportionately make the game more shit for everyone. Because what happens is bots and hackers find a way around it really quickly, and then you're just left with a whole bunch of bloated game content that is just there to annoy the legitimate players, that maybe only gets removed 6 months to a year to 3 years later or something. Remember how long the storage lag was in there? That was officially originally a deterrent to not allow people who crashed servers and stuff to be able to duplicate items, but that ended up staying in the game for so long and just destroying the gameplay for many of us. So I really wish they would find different solutions than just putting one of these barriers in. There's got to be something better that they can do than putting an annoying barrier up for everyone. But yeah, I'm sure you guys agree. You showed a few graphs while talking about the total mesos in the market, how they're generated, and the development team's thoughts on decisions. Total meso currently held, overall 26% increase from February 2023 to November 23. That's how many mesos are held on characters at any given time. Main meso generation ratios, dark blue is boss crystals, grinding, and Ursus. So Ursus, anywhere from, is around 8% most of the time. From grinding has gone up a bit, and then crystals is about 60%. I'd be interested to see this for GMS or Reboot. I bet that crystals is probably 85%. Ursus is 2%. And then 13% is grinding or something. Weekly meso generated per boss groups from top to bottom. Hard Damien to hard Vihilla is up 145%. Normal Lotus and normal Darkanel is up 90%. Easy Cygnus to Chaos Vellum is up 62%. Daily bosses 67.5%. Normal Saren Kaling up 561.1%. Wait, where did it go down that much then? If the crystals, the total money went down. Well, I guess it's the percentage, but the whole thing went up 26%. But if the whole thing went up 26%, all these group went up between 60 and 600%. Must have gone down somewhere, right? Although general increase in total Mesos wouldn't generally be an issue, the increases have been much steeper than intended, starting from 6 job advancements, so they'll have to take some additional measures. The drops in the total Mesos are Star Force events, with a big drop being Shining Star Force. Yeah, of course, yeah. You see, yeah, this is when a Shining Star Force event happens, and this is how much money is being held by people, and it's just like, brrr. I guess they just extrapolate the line upwards a little bit, but I mean, the line should be here, right? Not. I don't feel like that line is accurate. Well, no, I don't think the line is accurate. Don't you guys think they should just connect the beginning point with the end point here and take that as a line? Let's say you go from 1, 2, 3, 4, 42 to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 42 to 55 plus 13. Oh, that's still a quarter. Yeah, that's about 25%. That's what they did. The line just looks a little weird in my opinion. Yeah, no, it looks wrong, but this line has nothing. Yeah. If you connect, because this distance is much, so the line looks steeper than it should be, but the percentage is about correct if you look at it. Because if you look at the numbers, this is about 42 and this is about 55. So that's 13 difference, which is exactly a quarter of 42. So it's about 25%. That makes sense. And this is those percentages. And this one is... plus 568.1%. Yeah, there was like nothing coming in from that. And now there's quite a lot coming in from that. Okay. So the Meso ratio has been consistently maintained as a ratio of 6:3:1. Boss crystals grinding Ursus. The ratio from hunting did increase after the 6 job advancement, which they thought would last longer, but it went back to normal shortly. Therefore, they decided to make changes to boss crystals. The amount of Meso generated from bosses up to Hilla, Darknell, and Gloom has increased significantly since players have progressed with their 6 job advancement faster than expected. Well, they're already faster than expected in KMS. We'll see how they do in GMS then. They will be restarting the dynamic boss crystal pricing system in the next official server update. Based on the bosses being cleared, the boss crystal prices will change gradually over time. They'll be adding some additional tradable growth items to boss drops to help up for some of the price changes. Yeah, so again, if you're looking at crystal prices, you're looking at boss value, just in terms of how much the crystal is. That's a little bit reductive, so make sure that you keep your gaze a little bit wider than that, right? Because technically, I know that if you get a cube, you know, or you get 5 cubes and 1 flame from a boss, and you can't really use them on your main character, it doesn't feel like a lot of value, but it will be value for your account. It will be value for a boss mule, it will be value for a growing character, whatever, right? So you can't really say like, oh, I got a cube, I get 7.5 mil. That's not quite accurate, but it's also not accurate to say, oh, I got a cube that I can't use, therefore I got 0. That's also not accurate, right? So it's like a little bit in between. So they're trying to make sure that the amount of raw Meso available is going to go... it seems like they want that to go down a little bit, but they don't necessarily want the bosses to be less valuable. They just want to be able to dictate a bit more where that value will go. So if you're getting it in terms of flames, in terms of coupons, in terms of drops, etc., it seems like they're going to increase that a little bit to keep the bosses the same value. But the so for the people who weren't around when the last time that happened, the dynamic boss crystal, basically like every week they'll check what percentage of the total money is coming from a certain boss versus another boss. And then they will adjust the values to make sure that the bosses that are getting killed a lot, that the value of those bosses goes down, and the ones that are killed not that much, that the value of those bosses goes up, essentially. So this is something that they did in Korea. In GMS, we didn't get this at all. And I think MapleStory, largely just completely copied the values that KMS ended up with. Another reason why when MapleStory comes out with something, don't just blindly assume that we're getting that, because MapleStory does its things very differently from GMS. So what happened in GMS is oh god, this is a while ago, but I think they just tripled the value of the crystals, of all the crystals based on what we already had, and then said, okay, that's done, that's that. But for Korea, they had dynamic prices. So if you compare right now GMS and KMS crystal prices, the early bosses for GMS are way more valuable. So you can have boss mules that just clear up to like hard Magnus or something, and you have like 10 of those in an account that you can build very quickly. You'll make way more money that early on. You'll probably make double to triple the money that KMS will make in the same time. But in KMS, if you get further into the game and you have a bunch of characters that are doing like Gloom, basically past Gloom, or like everything like past like Hard Will and like Chaos Tenebris and all of that, those crystals start getting way more than GMS, up to even double and triple of what we are getting. So ours is very early game weighted basically, and theirs is much more late game and end game weighted right now. But it seems that because people are making it into what would be considered more like late game crystals a little bit too fast, they're trying to readjust to make sure that the numbers are again appropriate, to make sure that they can kind of control where the money is coming from in everyone's accounts, and to make sure those numbers make sense. So what will that mean for us? It's possible that we see a readjustment as well in like 6 months, or maybe sooner, because I think our boss crystal changes went through on an accelerated pace. We were not like 6 months behind KMS on that change, if I remember correctly. So a whole bunch of things are possible right now, but nothing is based on this. This is, first of all, it's still Tespia, right, for KMS, but it seems like there's something that they're going to do. But you'll see like weekly reports basically, and those will probably float around, and you'll see them on Reddit, where people are like showing like percentage of certain boss crystals going down in value and percentage of other ones going up in value. So just like as a heads up, last time that happened, none of that ended up coming to GMS. So it's definitely not a guarantee, but it's always a possibility. So as that information comes out, take it with a grain of salt, but keep it in the back of your head for the future, right? As a general thing, I think most of us are probably building towards having a few stronger bossing mules, and overall your entire account could be doing a lot more bossing as well. So just keep building on your account, keep building on your legion, so you can be flexible to basically have a response to any kind of change that's coming up in the future if that stuff does happen. If I was in Maple Sea, though, I would definitely say like keep a very close eye on this, because this is most likely what we're going to be copying in like 3 or 4 months, and that might very heavily impact your gameplay and your week-to-week income. So yeah, for all the different regions there. So, other game changes. Some people in chat were complaining that the ring box drop rate was too low. He said he understood how they felt as they were speaking from personal experience, but looking at the overall data, there is an appropriate amount of rings being generated. Some person can always be an outlier and can be very unlucky, of course. And I think in general, the idea of like, I want more things for the same amount of effort is generally going to be a piece of feedback that you'll always have, and they have to draw a line somewhere. So I guess it lines up with where they want it to be. I don't know, I see plenty of people here and there who were like on day 1, week 1, they already got like some really good rings. So it seems, at least for GMS, because it's affected by drop rate, right? And we have the extra drop rate from familiars. It seems like we are in a pretty advantageous position there as GMS. So I'm assuming that we'll have a bit of an easier time than Korea did to get there. And we have more damage, so we can do the harder bosses a bit faster as well. So we should be at a good situation to get the rings a little bit more easily than KMS did. Changes to the Genesis weapon iframe and AB link were implemented quickly after discussion last week to try and improve synergy with 2-minute class bursts. However, seed ring changes are more difficult due to balancing, so it's hard to say what they can do with them now. I guess that's one of the things I mentioned immediately as well. Like, it's really cool to be 2-minute class main and to be able to use my iframe for the Genesis weapon without a reduced duration on my 2-minute cycle, as well as use the AB link every minute now, so it both synced perfectly with 2-minute and with 3-minute. However, the fact that the Oz rings are still 3-minute, yeah, that still makes you have to make a bunch of choices. And I think it would, it should be possible to set up your ring as a 2-minute or a 3-minute and essentially just use it as a benediction, where if you can put like a hotkey so that when you press it, use it on a 2-minute cycle instead, so it's a little bit shorter, but then you can use it every 2 minutes versus longer and use it every 3-minute. It wouldn't be ideal, but yeah, I guess they're looking at possible explanations and possible fixes there to see how they're going to do that. Who just said, right here, yo, teaching session for free, boy. Yo, welcome back, bro. Thank you for the 5. Oh yeah, just hit me up on Discord if you need anything. WTF, I'm unsubbed. Yeah, that roughly every month that happens. So unlucky. They're considering removing the Giant Rune. I think at this point, it's run its course. Giant Rune was really cool. I don't know if you guys were around during the days, but when you were like level 30 and you were in Gold Beach and you were able to pick up a Rune of Might and jump through the map and one-shot everything, and just like, for those times, like levels super duper fast, that felt really good. Now, of course, every single character just zooms through the map, hits 16 targets with 400 lines of damage. Any Rune of Might is just slowing you down, basically, at any given moment. So at this point, I think it makes more sense to just remove it altogether. Because I think it's the worst rune now, because the first thing you do once you get a Rune of Might is you have to go look for the buff and then right-click it. Sometimes another buff freshes, you right-click the wrong buff. Like, it's just inconvenient now. But we do want the EXP, so you're kind of like still forced to take the rune, so I think it would make sense to remove it, honestly, at this point. Also, the Rune of Riches in any area, like past, probably in any Arcane River area, but definitely in any Grandis area, like it's so useless. Or change the rewards in it, right? They updated Elysium quests together with the Angelic Buster remaster, including fixing some odd choices, such as Elysium being level 90, but the Tyrant Citadel being level 100. They intentionally kept Mega Burning up to level 130. Remember, yeah, in KMS, Mega Burning is 130, even though for us it's 150. And Extreme Growth Potions at level 141 plus for a long time, but now they feel it wouldn't make a difference, so they changed it so that you can use them starting at level 130 for the Extreme Growth Potions. Okay. Alright, yeah, I guess people... At this point, also, it takes a little bit longer to get the Zakum runs done, to get your character from 120 to 140, or 100 to 140, I should say. So you only need to get up to 130, and then you can start smashing Extreme Growth Potions at 130, I guess. Again, this is in Tespia in Korea, so it's probably like 6.5 months away for us. But that should ease you into, you know, being able to build out your Legion with those characters that you don't really like leveling quite a bit earlier, so that's nice. You said you just did that last night, so they must work. Wait, why are you replying to Moobot? They're working on being able to see other players' combat power in places like the party window and boss matching window, but right now it's hard to make it visible for characters that aren't in the same map. They're working on it now. Of course, I've given my hard X for doubt questions about combat power in general. I don't think it's a very useful metric. It's probably, in some situations, more useful than the current damage range. But I think barely, and as a result, not something I would really look for or, you know, promote looking at. But maybe they changed some stuff in the meantime. They're investigating players that use proxy services in the Punch King event. They're also taking... So when they say proxy here, they don't mean like VPNs or something, but they mean having someone else log into your character and then do the run for you. Because it was for a long time... I don't know exactly what the TOS right now is in KMS, but for a long time, you were allowed to just have other people play your account for you and log into your character, and that was fine. But what happened was, you know, people just have accounts that are leveled for them. They spend a whole lot of money, roll stuff, and then other people also played for them on bosses so they can make progress and get, like, endgame items. And it's like, yeah, I guess some people feel like it's unfair if some really good players are just able to log into other people's players and then kind of, like, cheat their way to good rankings. So that's probably why some players are not too happy with how that all works. We're also making measures in cases where there was an abnormal amount of multiple players on a single IP. Oh, okay, so we're investigating that. The Monif Replacement. Oh, the thing I mentioned that we were all forgetting about, including myself, of course, is being developed as growth system as opposed to side content with Monster of Life, sorry, originally was. Monster Life. Jesus, I got it right third time. And then it became a core system over time. They will be trying to use the system to reduce some of the differences in combat stats between regular and Reboot World, which a lot of players feel are unfair. I don't know if I like the sound of that. They said it was going to be available in Reboot World and in non-Reboot. Are the people feeling... Which stats do people feel is unfair? All of the extra critical damage and weapon attack you can get from bonus potential, or the final damage that we get on Reboot? Because depending on who you ask, they feel like it's unfair because the other side gets more damage. Both sides feel that. But this sounds like they're trying to bridge the gap to the final damage. Hang on. Well, whatever. As a Reboot player, I don't really care what they do with the non-Reboot worlds. I don't play that server. So if it's something that I can... If it's a new mechanic that I can use and it's some cool and interactive stuff on Reboot, that's cool. If they're trying to use it to make non-Reboot players feel stronger and feel like they're less of a disadvantage for the free final damage in Korea, and that brings player back to non-Reboot in Korea, or even in GMS, honestly, I think it's fine to try to make GMS a bit more appealing. Non-Reboot a little bit more appealing also in GMS, because from what I hear, those servers are just completely emptying out, especially with the release of Hyperion. So at this point, it almost feels weird to keep servicing them when they should. Well, they probably should, because there's still a lot of people on there who, well, there's a decent group of people on there who were still trying to play the game in their non-Reboot world. So if they can bring a little bit more vibe back to that, that's probably a good idea. But we'll see once we have any details on what that system will actually be. The world creation restriction is a technical issue, as there are still many players joining even during the off-season. I believe that's in Korea you still cannot make new characters on any of the 2 Reboot worlds that they have. Allowing them to create characters in these already highly populated worlds would make the play experience worse for the existing players, and they want to avoid past mistakes. For example, the Reboot World Data loss. Oh, I was not aware. When was that? That must have been a long time ago. They remove the restriction when they can resolve the technical and planning issues. Yeah. But yeah, that's all still a lingering effect from the fact that they had a mass exodus of non-Reboot people to Reboot people, because they realized with the final damage and with way less time spent and no money spent, not way less time spent, but about the same time spent but way less money spent, you could actually progress at the same speed or even faster in Reboot than non-Reboot. And when some big Korean content creators started, talking about that, suddenly a whole bunch of people moved into Reboot and made the Reboot world super overpopulated. And they started really looking at the differences between Reboot and non-Reboot at that time, and that connects to the previous thing and why they're changing Monster Life and stuff like that as well. And also why the big change happened that we just got, where the EXP and the HP of the monsters in non-Reboot and Reboot was equalized now. Not so much because they thought, well, a little bit because they thought Reboot was going too fast, but also because they wanted the people in non-Reboot not to feel as bad that Reboot was having it, quote-unquote, easier, So, yeah, it's a big question about, is it an over-adjustment because they really thought Reboot was going too fast, or is it an over-adjustment because, non-Reboot people were just complaining because they couldn't have all the same things. I feel like if Reboot gets a nerf because they're just Reboot is going too fast or is too strong or has too much money, that's one thing. But if you're getting a nerf because another region of the same game or another version of the same game complains that it's too hard for them compared to you, I feel like then you just work on that version of the game and just make that one better. Dragging another one down, sure, by comparison makes the region look better or makes it feel less bad, but now you're just piss off a whole group of other people, and you're not nerfing them for their internal balance, but you're nerfing it for the balance between regions, which I think that's not necessarily, I don't think that's even necessary, Different versions of the game, different regions, they should go at different speeds. Just always related to the overall balance for the individual region and not inter-region, I think, or intra-regional? Would that be the word? No. Intra-version. Then the actual patches, Jesus. Okay, Angelic Buster remaster, skills and story. We can can we compare this to the last test PIA to see how different those things are and what they changed. We can do this. Get the skills in there. Oh, we had all the pictures here though. Common skills, sound effect added, voices added. Good stuff. Beginner changes, action delay removed from Soul Contract. Ooh. That's nice. Oh, someone also said that if you use, so that's for terms and conditions. If you use terms and conditions with the command key, they said that it responds way better than if you use it on a regular key. I don't know if you guys have had the same experience or not, but maybe something worth trying that could make the game a bit less stressful for you, because terms and conditions tends to fail a lot. On stage, we try to cast a skill in an area where it cannot be cast. A guide message will be displayed. Cooldown has been increased from 10 minutes to an hour, and the maximum number of plays has been increased from 2 to 5. Fix an issue where the client would crash if multiple characters cast a skill at once. Cooldown reset effects and cooldown reduction effects will no longer apply to this skill. Oh, so you can spam it. Fourth job changes. Primal Roar skill effect will now move with the character. Oh yeah, it's kind of weird if it just stays in place. Honestly, it can be weird if it stays in place if you're jumping around, but sometimes it can also be weird if it moves with you, because if you're activating it in a certain place and then you move, why would the effect also move through the map, right? I guess depending on the skill, I could see one or the other. Attack range has been changed. I love that word. And the number of hits has been decreased from 6 to 4. Ooh, without a damage change, so that's a 33% damage decrease, but maybe the hitbox is a bit bigger. Skill description has been changed for Trinity, and Soul Shooter Expert final damage boost has been increased from 20% to 21%. Ugh. Huge gain for all Angelic Busters everywhere. Massive tweak. Hyper changes. Skill effect change. Duration skill will now be displayed as a buff icon. Okay, we don't need the older one so far. An action delay has been added to final contract. Ooh, hate action delays. The newly added action delay does not apply attack speed. Ugh. Soul Exalted action delay has been removed. Oh, this skill now also increases final damage by 5% when active. And that was for, was it 20 seconds every minute? Yeah, 20 seconds every minute during the all extra star. An extra, okay, yeah, because we were seeing like this was gonna synchronize really well with the 5th job stuff, which is probably why the 5th job skills seem to have gotten such a huge nerf, right? But if it also improves your final damage by 5% during that. Still no male AB, no word yet, but we'll keep up hope. Energy Burst skill cannot be cast while in the air. Fix an issue where if the invincibility effect duration ended while you were dead, the invincibility effect would remain. How can it end while you're dead, though? Oh, so you have to activate the skill, not activate the iframe, then die, then stay dead for the skill to end and give you iframe while you're dead, and then res while you had the iframe, and then you would keep the iframe when you rest? Okay, interesting. Interesting interaction. Mascot Familiar fixed an issue where the skill effect appeared awkwardly to other characters. Spotlight skill effect has been changed. That is a huge beam of light. Okay. And then... Wait, was there that... Trinity Fusion? That is a bit different, yeah. Wow, that's very flashy. Okay, skill effect will now move with the character for Trinity 6. And Grand Finale, number of additional cheering balloons created during Soul Exalt has been increased from 8 to 10. Ah, so they did add a buff to that 5th job skill that we said was probably just a little weakish. Now creates 8 additional flying balloons during... Okay, so that's 10 instead. Okay, so it's moving a little bit more in the direction that we thought it should. So the extra final damage on the Hyper, and then extra damage on the 5th. And then a little bit more tweaks. Okay, so they're still not done with it. They're still additionally making some changes. So there might be even some more changes before it actually comes out. Storyline! Okay, we've got the... Okay. Oh, cute. Yeah, we've got the... Okay, pretty. We've got some NPCs. We've got some Escada going on. NPC's appearance has been changed. Yeah. Extra quest stuff. Cool, cool, cool. Ursus changes. Yikes. Profession changes. You can only harvest 1,000 as well. The Arcarium Easy and Normal's drop rate for Chaos Fragments has been increased. The purple herb will now have a low drop rate of Twilight Essence and Brilliant Twilight Essence. Okay. Certain item recipes requiring juniper berry seed oil have been changed to use juniper berry flower oil. Strength and int 10. Oh, that's actually nice. Now we can finally use those for something. Finally stop making the stage 9 strength potions and start making the stage 10 ones and finally use up all of this. I mean, it's a small change, but... so 180 to 120, 90 to 60, that's all the same as before. It's been improved so that you can no longer cancel V-Matrix special core duration effects by right-clicking the buff icon. Oh, yeah. Accidentally, I guess? Is that the professional revamp? Maybe that's the start of it? I hope that's not the extent of it. That would be a little bit sad, huh? If it were. Skill sound effect change for Novas and the exclusive spell. Xenon maximum HP boost have been changed to be applied to all other maximum HP boost effects in MP. Okay, triangle formation accuracy reduction effect has been improved so that if it applies a fixed value regardless of the number of machines. Core trigger has been improved so that you use the skill as beta. Critical bind will not be applied. Yeah, you might not always want it to do the bind effect. Elysium quests have been changed overall. Oh. Elysium related quests have been added. That's... Oh, hello? That's a lot. Okay. Certain Elysium quest titles have been changed. Sure thing. Dimensional Library Maple behind related quest descriptions have been changed to be more specific. Items. So the growth potions can be used starting at 130 instead of 141. The extreme growth potion EGPs. Maps. You can no longer take fall damage in the Monster Park entry map. Pets will now be displayed, and you can now enhance items at the underground culvert's entrance. If you forgot to change something. Ah, UI. Okay. The character's UI has been changed so that strength, dex, int, luck, and HP's current values and applied values can be checked in the tooltip and pop-up. Okay, that's good. So you can have more stat info, your total percentage. They're getting a little closer. They're getting a little closer to giving good, accurate, just useful numbers. And another one, character info UI has been changed so that Star Force, Arcane Power, and Sacred Power current values and applied values can be checked in the tooltip pop-up as well. Okay. Is there a way to hide infos? So this pop-out stuff will only pop up if you hover over it. You won't be able to hide it from other people. In the past note, they said that they were kind of considering that. But other people will be able to see your stats. You won't be able to hide them. Okay. Everyone has changed. You can now check summon duration increase effects as well. Good, good. Okay. I think they really listened to a lot of community feedback here, because I'm assuming Korea was like, okay, this is a step in the right direction, but what about this? And what about this? And what about this? And they're just adding all of those individual things that they had forgotten about. That's what it seems like. So that seems good. Okay. The weapon mastery stat can now be checked in the damage range tooltip. Yeah, because they had that separate, which felt a little weird. It's not really necessary to have that separated out like that. The character info UI has been changed so that you can now more clearly check the base values and percentage values for attack and magic attack. And it's been changed so that you can now check mechanic, equipment, and dragon equipment. Oh, right, yeah, because I mean, I'm guessing in Reboot they're all pretty much exactly the same, right? But in non-Reboot there's probably additional ways of upgrading and such, so it'd make more sense if you could have that seen specifically. For others, delete your character. No, I mean, if you don't click their character, it's not like when someone is moving around, they have like a giant bar over their head with all of this information. You have to actively click them and scroll through their stuff. Isn't summon duration pretty much useless unless you are a Lara? There's more summoners than you think. Kura says, yeah, Hoyong, Corsair, Bishop, Mech. For, actually, I think for Lara it doesn't work, because for Lara it's buff duration that applies. Unless it says specifically that it doesn't, because you're like activating a buff for yourself, or you're activating a buff in the map rather than summon duration. Because you're not summoning you're not summoning the monster, you're just activating a vein. What counts as a summon Exon? Yeah, there should be like one list of that as well somewhere where it's like this counts for that and this doesn't, because it's not always intuitive. Because a lot of people might intuitively say like, oh, Lara, but then it's like, no? Oh, okay. It's a little weird, right? And it's been changed so that when you lose the character info UI, all sub-UIs such as hyperstats and ability will all be closed at once. Oh, close, sorry, not lose. Regardless of if they were open or not. If you reopen a character UI, the sub-UI's last activated state will be maintained. A command has been added to check the target character's info UI. When you enter the following command in the chat window, it will activate the character info UI for the character. Ah. Okay. Is this because when you right-click someone in-game to try to see their stats, half the time it doesn't pop up? Is it to mitigate that? Mitigate that? And that is all for the UI. Okay, so they're getting a bit closer. They're getting a bit clearer. They're taking some clutter out. That's good. I still would love to see a stat equivalence across the board with all the different stats in there, but we are getting a bit closer to where I want it. So, you know, progress and just in general getting closer to where I think we would want it. So I'm not gonna bash them too hard. Okay. Monster collection characters who have completed the Cross Hunter final report, or the one who was a priest of goddess quest, can now talk to the NPC to enter the dungeons. For monster collector, Cross Hunter. That's not Silent Crusade, is it? Master Hob and Skeleton Commander. Are these otherwise like not available or something? It is, but isn't this removed from the game in Korea? I thought all the Silent Crusade stuff was gone. Is this like legacy content to try to give people the monster collection, or? I feel like it would be better to just remove those monsters from those respective monster collections. The portal and shit are, but it's still Arcarium Prequest. Right, because Arcarium is still in the game. Okay, so they kept the name. Gotcha. Achievement stuff, nobody cares. Skill error fixes. Imperial knowledge did not apply to the enemy with the highest maximum HP. Guided arrow. Ice lightning, aura buff, marksman. Piercing arrow fragment sometimes did not attack enemies. Okay. Reinstalled. Shinover, Dark Flare. That's the same as the Night Lord one, of course. Invisibility effect was not applied if it was used on an enemy with damage reflect. Oh, really? Well, I mean, DR is not really that much of an impactful mechanism in the game anymore, but it's cool to not, for it to not be broken when it shouldn't, of course. When it shouldn't be. Continual aiming sometimes it not apply to enemies, but sometimes not attack the enemy with the highest HP. Okay. Announcement level 20 was not applied. Okay. Some small fixes. Where using revolving cannon during the bullet reload would cause the reload animation to be played repeatedly. Okay, seem all like pretty small things, but I guess if there's some small things that you're looking for to be fixed in your class, check your individual class, because there's always, you know, it's not that much information, but if it's 3 lines of text for 50 characters, it's 150 lines of text, and that's a bit much. So there might be some minor inconveniences for your classes that are getting fixed with this. So if you're a 0 and you see fix an issue where sometimes the untagged character image was displayed abnormally, if you noticed that and that was bugging you, that's gone. Or at least that's they're working on that in Korea. So maybe in 6 months it'll be gone for us. A whole bunch of kinesis stuff. Defense reduction effect was displayed awkwardly. Huh. Like 5 times. Alright. Grave sometimes did not apply to enemies. Grave is... Is that Grave Pact? Is that the name? No. I feel like I know most of the... Well, not most. Like 15 to 20% of the skill names at this point. But then in Korea, like the translated notes will always have the Korean translated names. Grave Proclamation, that's the one, okay. Because Pact is, that's Final Pact. We have a Final Pact, you have Grave Proclamation, yeah, there you go. Crystal Charge completion duration was applied inconsistently when changing channels. Affects an issue where Vengeful Hate was not affected by skill effect transparency. Gotcha. Quest changes, these are even less important most of the time. But usually Max highlights them if there's anything useful or important in there. Items, same thing. Monsters, there's some bosses here. You can defeat the boss monster even after you failed. Fix an issue in certain boss battles where you could defeat the boss monster even after you failed. Like some damage of a summon or something could still kill it after you already failed. Would it then count as a clear for your week, but also not give you the rewards because you died out? So no more in Vihela, no more in Saren, no more in Kalos. Oh, last run in Saren, because I was like dead in the map and everyone else left and the run was over. Like everyone else was already in the boss room and I was just still hanging dead in the boss fight, and she just kept attacking and kept going, and her HP never actually went to 0. Her HP stayed on 0. Was it 0.1 or something? Like, it would never really go down, and she just kept attacking. I don't know. And Kaling as well. You're hit by a red string at the same time as clearing. Sometimes it would be considered as you being hit. Issue in Ferris Hilla, where sometimes the hourglass ascent was not visible. Oh, there you go. That is sometimes. It's like 60% of the time, I think. It's nice that if that can finally get fixed. Issue in Darknell, where sometimes the ultimate sword slash pattern would be activated without a weather message. And Fiction in Darknell, where sometimes... sometimes the ultimate sword slash pattern would be used without a cast action. That's not cool. It's the very first time trying Reboot. Welcome, dude. Are there any recommendations with this event? Yeah, try to hit all the dailies and all the weeklies for the event itself, for the Identisk Island, because there's huge value in that. There's a lot to take in. I know. If you check ! Patch, I do like a big rundown. There's like a really long video if you want to get all of it, or a shorter rundown that's just over 15 minutes with like all of the most important stuff. and then you can use that as a baseline to kind of see like where you wanna go with your account. You know, what you want to prioritize. If there's any specific events or something that you just don't know what the value of it is or where to use it, feel free to ask, and we'll help you out. Yeah, I made a little short video on the 0 to 100 event as well. If that, hopefully that will help some of you guys out. Okie dokie. Minigame for EXP coupons. Yeah, the hunting map for the extra monster kills is super fast. The 1 to 100 for your whole account is really good. There's a lot of stuff right now. I understand it could be a little bit overwhelming. You can also check ! Events that has like all of them classifies everything viable. Pretty much, you could check ! Classes and you can see them divided up a little bit there in terms of like which groups they are. Like what their boss rotation is, which race, which stat, which type, what their party role is, and whether they need funding, mobbing, or where you need a lot of key inputs. This can already help for a lot of people to kind of figure out what kind of class, what kind of play style you would like more. This is mostly for up to early game though, but this is like up to level 260, which is where a lot of your playtime is going to be at this time. And this has all the events, also with links to the patch notes. If you click that, it'll take you straight to the patch notes with all the details and the information, so you can easily follow when all the events are starting, when they're ending, and all of that. All right, back to test stuff. Where were we? Oh yes, visible. Map changes, UI changes, volume control icon was not visible on the character window sometimes. Okay. Awkward sound. Pet info, ignore UI. In the culvert where damage dealt to the monster immediately after the timer ended would be applied to the final score. Additional fixed an issue where there was a difference between the weekly score displayed in the guild UI and the score displayed when talking to the NPC. Oh, that shouldn't be a thing either. Yeah, if you have any questions, Gamjip update, you know where I am. Just let me know. Achievements, recars, and etc. Fix an issue where your ears were invisible when using professional crafting skills. Thank you. Thank you. Finally visible ears. It just looked really weird when you were twirling around and crafting, and then you just had no ears. So I'm glad they finally fixed that. Okay, this is the 7-day monster parker. For people who are keeping count, that's my 23rd 7-day monster parker on my account. Now I can get rid of all the other ones. Thank you, inventory space. There we go. Alright, so that is the current update in Korea. Plus, you know, some extra direction for the game. Some good stuff there, some question stuff there, and then some, I would say, not the best stuff there. I'm not a big fan of adding the 1,000 kills to being able to harvest and to being able to do Ursus. I understand they have to do something to curb like botting and all that stuff, but I wish they would do that in a different way that doesn't impact legitimate players' gameplay. That's just always very annoying. Additional changes to AB I think are good. General direction of the game in terms of the money and with the crystals, that's a big question mark, because that could affect us down the line, could not affect us at all, but we'll have to just wait and see for all of that. Again, even what comes live in Korea won't necessarily be coming for us, and even what goes live in Maple Sea after that won't necessarily be for us. So this is all still test server, so it's all still not permanent even in Korea, and we'll keep our eyes open for when it does go live in Korea, and then I'll inform you guys appropriately. So hopefully that extra information was useful to you guys, and I'll thank you for watching, And if you have any questions, you know where to find me. Find me on Twitch or leave a comment here. And I'll see you on the next one. Thanks. Bye.